All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you, but the first thing that I want to talk about is Cardano announced a second partnership in Africa. So, the continent of Africa, consistent of 1.3 billion people, has a huge problem with internet connection, as revealed more than half of the population, 700 million, have no access to it. Tanzania is no exception. Moreover, the East African country struggles with its quality of education, healthcare system, and mobile connection as it lacks global connectivity. As announced yesterday, Input, Output, and World Mobile Group revealed a partnership that aims to establish better access to social, digital, and financial services in Tanzania through Cardano's blockchain. So we talked about a partnership yesterday, but that was with Ethiopia. That was with the Ethiopian education system, using Cardano to basically verify students, records, and teachers. But now this one is going to be with the Tanzanian government. The report informed that the companies would start the project from the island of Zanzibar. No, not the Zanzibar from Outer Heaven from the Metal Gear Solid series, just the island. Their main goal will be to deliver good quality internet connection while using sustainable solar-powered energy sources. Mickey Watkins, CEO of World Mobile, emphasized the mission of the organization together with their partners from IOHK. World Mobile has built network-based on a new relationship between people and connectivity, in which ownership, governance, and identity work to empower the user and make access available to all in a sustainable way. I'm delighted to have formed this symbolic partnership with Input Output. Together, our efforts will open a new world. So basically, Cardano just going to be trying to create a digital identity, mobile internet connection, and financial acceptance to communities in Tanzania. Not really entirely sure exactly how this is going to be had. I think the partnership in Ethiopia is much more streamlined. It makes much more sense with the education system. But Tanzania also to have a partnership with Cardano, which is kind of making history, as that's two separate governments that Cardano is going to be partnering with. So fair enough. But moving on. MicroStrategy buys 253 more Bitcoin in Q2 2021, and it says it will continue to buy more. MicroStrategy announced its earnings today, where it said that the company will continue to acquire even more Bitcoin in an effort to increase value for its shareholders. In the second quarter of 2021, the company purchased 253 Bitcoin for approximately $15 million. The company now holds approximately 91,579 Bitcoin, currently valued at around $5.1 billion as of today. We continue to be pleased with our Bitcoin strategy. We successfully raised more than $1 billion in additional capital in the quarter to expand our Bitcoin holdings, which now exceed 91,000 Bitcoin. We also hosted a very successful Bitcoin for Corporations track at MicroStrategy World, where we utilized our thought leadership in the cryptocurrency market to show how organizations can incorporate digital assets into their balance sheet management. We will continue to acquire and hold additional Bitcoin as we seek to create additional value for our shareholders. The company revealed a 10.3% increase in total revenue in quarter one and a 52.3% increase in its product licenses and subscriptions. So people are digging that they hold Bitcoin. The company did note a 226.1% increase in operating expenses compared to the first quarter of 2020, partially due to impairment losses from its digital asset holdings. The report did also say that the company may increase or even decrease its Bitcoin holdings in the future. In future periods, MicroStrategy may purchase additional Bitcoin and increase its overall holding of Bitcoin, or sell its Bitcoins and decrease its overall Bitcoin holdings. So, which I find fair enough, because everybody always saying, like, I'll never sell my Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin. But if you're never really planning on selling it, then why did you buy it in the first place? I never really believe that sort of rhetoric when people say, I'll never sell my Bitcoin. I think it's just sort of not particularly believable, as why did you buy it? It's just, in that sense, just sort of a waste of money. I think if you're in profit and you think, hey, this is enough profit for me, and you sell it, hey, fair enough, that lets somebody else buy it at a different period. So fair enough with that. But MicroStrategy looking to buy more in the future, $5.1 billion in Bitcoin they hold, and this is just yet another one of the corporations, institutions, what have you, that are helping to expand the price of Bitcoin. Moving on here. So a lot of people have been saying that Ethereum could go to $10,000. I think that's a little bit high, but I do think that that is a possibility. When could that be a possibility? I think that would be a possibility if Ethereum 2.0 comes out, which it'll come out sooner or later, but we all know with Ethereum development, it's very, very slow. So it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 8 months. They were saying that they wanted to roll out proof of stake earlier because of the minor protests that were going on, because they're currently receiving 2 Ethereum per block reward, but the fees are so vast that they're receiving something like 4 Ethereum per block reward because the fees are so egregious. So I think when all of that sort of goes away and it goes to proof of stake and there's sharding, et cetera, and the transaction rate increases dramatically, that way a lot of people will be able to use DeFi again, or at least start to use it, because right now the fees are just so high that a lot of people, if you only have a few $100s in ETH and you want some kind of DeFi token, Uniswap is really not a possibility for you, because you're going to be paying $30, $50, $80 plus in fees just to get that token, and then later do the same thing to sell it at a later date. So it would have to increase so dramatically for you to make profit doing that, that if you're just using a little bit of Ethereum, it's really not going to happen. So once those fees sort of go away and the transaction rate increases and the fees decrease significantly anyway, then people will be able to use Ethereum like people used to use it. And Ethereum right now, I mean, quite frankly, is the most used cryptocurrency. The volume, I think, of Tether and Bitcoin is higher. But let's face it, almost every single token is on Ethereum. Every single dApp, DeFi, etc., smart contract, almost overwhelmingly Ethereum. So Ethereum is basically running the entirety of the crypto system, aside from Bitcoin in its store of value. Ethereum is the number one cryptocurrency in a sense, not by market cap, but just by overall usage. I mean, people sending Bitcoin back and forth, I don't think really counts as a particular usage in the terms of how Ethereum is with contracts, etc. But Ether could hit $10,000. Fundstrat says touting network value versus Bitcoins. And I kind of agree with that. I feel like Ethereum is very undervalued. I've had a lot of people ask me on some of my live streams, like, what do you think of Ethereum? Is Ethereum undervalued? What do you think of the price of it? And I always have to say it's very, very undervalued because, for example, Binance Coin was once an Ethereum token, and it had even then it had a market cap of billions of dollars. So basically a company can just hire a programmer, and then for about $50 in Ethereum to actually physically make the contract, because when you make a contract on the Ethereum network and you actually physically solidify that contract on the blockchain, it costs you Ethereum to do that. It's like $30, $50. I made SotKo coin once. It cost me like $50. That was back in the day. It could be higher now. But either way, so you're telling me that you can make $1 billion token for the price of something like $50 in Ethereum. That's what I call undervalued. And just take a look at all the other ERC20 tokens out there with hundreds of millions of dollars market cap or billions of dollars market cap. And those were made, of course, with a lot of effort and programming, but just to solidify it on the contract, it was cost them maybe $30, $50 or something like that in Ethereum. And they ended up making $1 billion blockchain or $1 billion token with it. That's what I call undervalued. So Ether, the second largest crypto by market cap, could see further gains towards 10,000 this year. Of course, we've got to hit that 5,000 first, reaching a new all-time high of around 2780. Ironically, coincidentally rather, we are at an all-time high of Ethereum now. We're well over $2,800 Ethereum, a roughly threefold increase forecasted by Fundstrat, a market research firm. ETH is up about 40% for the date versus a 5% decline for Bitcoin. We're maintaining our overweight Ethereum versus Bitcoin recommendation from April 2020. Ethereum's market cap has risen to 30% of Bitcoin's over the recent weeks. During the last market cycle, Ethereum broke this level and had as much as 80% of Bitcoin's value. The crypto narrative is shifting from Bitcoin to Ethereum and other segments like DeFi and Web 3.0 apps. Fundstrat is bullish on ETH as new financial applications are being developed on the Ethereum network, which has grown significantly in scale over the last year. These applications are generating 3 times the fees for the network versus Bitcoin, which trades at 3 times the market cap. So again, 3 times the fees. And that's true when mining. So right now it's 2 Ethereum per block reward, but they're also getting a +2 Ethereum, sometimes even 3 extra Ethereum because the fees are so outrageous. It might be a little bit lower now, but last time I took a look at the Block Explorer, you can just take a look at any of the recent blocks, and there's usually an additional 2 Ethereum worth of fees. So that's essentially 100% extra what miners are supposed to be getting. My argument is that that's pretty egregious, and they're getting so much. They're creating so much profits for miners right now because of the fees, that those miners are just in turn dumping their Ethereum, and they're probably not doing it on a daily basis, but at some point they're dumping their vast amount of Ethereum that they're getting, and that's sort of suppressing the price. So once that goes away, I feel like there's only upside for Ethereum after that. In crypto accounting terms, this is the same as using using revenue, less operating costs and earning profit that is used to buy back stock. This means the network will become profitable like a company once ETH supply reduction from burn fees outpaces inflation. And that's referring to EIP 1559, which will remove the fees to the miners, and it will create a static, a dynamic fee that will go up and down over time, similar to Bitcoin's hash rate and how it goes up and down over time in set intervals. So you will know how much you're going to pay. It won't necessarily lower the fees, but it will generalize them for you, so you know how much you're going to pay. It's not going to just sneak up on you, and those fees will be burned. So right now, the miners are getting 2 block per reward, and they're getting more than 2 ETH in fees. So if you say, okay, we're going to burn the fees, so that means that literally more in fees are getting burned than what is actually being given in the block reward. So it does become slightly deflationary at that point, although slightly. Fundstrat also expects Bitcoin to reach 100,000 this year and the total market cap to reach $5 trillion, which is a bit of a stretch. I suppose if Bitcoin was 100,000, generally all other coins would be a little bit higher, or at least the top something like 100 coins would be generally higher, and it could be about 5 trillion, but 5 trillion I think it might be a little bit of a stretch. Again, I feel like a little bit of the 2018-ism. At the beginning of 2018, there was a lot of price predictions that were virtually every one of them were wrong. And it was from Bitcoin going to, okay, well, if it went to 20,000 this year at 20x, of course it's going to be 100,000 by the end of 2018. It was from Vertcoin and for Ethereum and for Litecoin, and there were all these outrageous prices. Even I thought they would be outrageous prices at the end of 2018. Wrong. It just wasn't. So again, price predictions are great, but sometimes they're wrong. But there is a lot of FOMO going around for that 10K Ethereum, and I think that would be generally a better price for Ethereum. Not just the fact that, of course, all of our bags would be worth more, but I think that's at least a start for Ethereum, because again, if you can make $1 billion token on the Ethereum blockchain for $50 on Ethereum, I think that's a little bit undervalued. But moving on, vechain announces 1 million grant as vechain prices eye a comeback. So the vechain Foundation unveiled a massive grant program to further its real-world adoption and impact. vechain Price has recently tapped a demand zone and looks ready for a blast-off. vechain Foundation announced on April 28th their allocation of $1 million to developers and projects that could bring value to the enterprise NFT ecosystem and its derivatives. With DeFi and NFT sectors booming, vechain believes that this grant will help further the adoption of its native token vechain and its recent introduction of VeThor token. The blog details, to build such an ecosystem, we need as many applications and projects as we can get, including NFT marketplaces, token bridges, DeFi applications, open source tools, and more. So it sounds like vechain really is trying to be ETH. The compounding effect of more tools will exponentially increase the development progress of the NFT ecosystem. Additionally, the grant does not restrict the developers to NFT, but allows them to expand to other aspects like DeFi applications, token bridges, and cross-chain tools. So it's basically what Cardano did too. They allowed some tokenization of Cardano, but so far I have not seen any of that. With their recent update that happened, I believe a month or so ago, it really opened up contracts for tokens, and I've really yet to see any kind of development on Cardano, regardless of them having a couple new partnerships in Africa. and with that gigantic upgrade that they went through. So we'll have to see how it works on vechain if they decide to upgrade and have DeFi applications, tokens, etc. like that. That would be pretty huge for vechain, considering vechain is a pretty low price at the moment, something like 22 cents or so. I think it would rocket it up pretty fast. But moving on, a 1 billion crypto fund could be on its way from Andreessen Horowitz. Building on its previous crypto involvement, venture capitalist firm Andreessen Horowitz is now reportedly gathering thunder for another fund, according to an article from the Financial Times. The new fund, Andreessen's third, that is focused on cryptocurrency investments, is aiming to raise $800 million to $1 billion from investors, according to 4 people with knowledge of the process. So if you got $1 billion, hand it over to Andreessen Horowitz. They'll probably make you some money, although probably less money than you would get if you just bought Bitcoin. Who knows? A venture capital or VC firm, Andreessen Horowitz, also operates under the name A16Z. And the entity is active in the crypto and blockchain sector and has invested in a number of projects. It plans to aim the new fund's capital towards crypto industry projects and digital assets. A whole lot of money coming. I think 2021 is going to be a wild year for crypto, but I think it also depends on the economy of the world. Basically, the United States is printing unbelievable amounts of money. Biden wants another $4 trillion, and he also wants to have capital gains increase to basically 40%, which is double what it is now. And that's going to leave either one of two options, in my opinion. One, people are going to have to hodl on longer. Or B, people are going to sell immediately before that actually happens. And then people are going to have less money to reinvest. Because if you make $1 million with stocks or cryptocurrency and your capital gains is something like 40, close to 50%, well, you're going to owe the government $400,000 or $500,000. And that's a lot less for you to reinvest into the market. I don't think it's good for stocks, investors, cryptocurrency in any way, shape, or form. And who knows, it could crash the stock market. And if the stock market crashes, I think Bitcoin's going to go with it, and we'll be in another bear market for a while. So I think it's really riding on how the market reacts to that once it actually does go through, if it does go through. But moving on here, NVIDIA again limiting crypto mining on its RTX 3060 gaming graphics card. So you might think to yourself, wait, didn't this already happen? Yeah, it sure did. They came out with the RTX 3060 graphics cards, and they basically nerfed them for Ethereum by the mining hash rate by 50%. And then a developer accidentally leaked one of the developer drivers to the world. And if you have that developer driver, which it's on basically every mirror on the internet, you can just apply that to your RTX 3060 card, and then poof, there goes the hash rate limiter. Whoops. I think a developer probably isn't working there anymore. But now, with the new cards on the way, we're like essentially a new batch of the cards. They're going to become pre-programmed with a driver that limits the mining capacity of the card. So graphics card giant NVIDIA is quietly reintroducing a hash rate limiter on its RTX 3060 because whoops, series graphics cards in an effort to disincentivize cryptocurrency miners. On Thursday, the company issued the GeForce 466.27 driver that reintroduces RTX 3060 crypto mining limiter. This driver updates the hash limiter for the GeForce RTX 3060. 12 gigabyte and is required for product shipping starting mid-May. So basically, like the batch starting mid-May is going to have this limiter on it. That's with a particular driver. So are people going to be able to just take a driver and then just, sort of just sort of take the driver and remove it and then add a lower version driver to it, and then you'll be able to have your hash rate again? Probably. I think people will be able to work around this. I think every driver after 466.27 will have that limiter, and so every time you update your graphics card, it's going to keep that limiter on there. But I really don't see a way that you could stop that from happening by just removing the driver and then installing manually an older driver, an older version of it, and then poof, there you go. Or you could use that developer driver that was flying around the internet for a while. According to sources reported by computer news site Video Cards, NVIDIA released a new light hash rate models in mid-May, which will be almost identical to previous versions of the same card. The gaming giant had originally limited the hash on previous models, reducing mining performance by 50%. Matt Wolbling, head of global GeForce marketing at NVIDIA, said in a blog post, "We designed GeForce GPUs for gamers, and gamers are clamoring for more. Hackers first came up with a workaround, and then in March, a driver update inadvertently unlocked this limiter, unleashing the card's true potential of 118 megahashes per second and enabling the miner of Ether and other cryptocurrencies. The new cards are said to be identical in every way, except they'll have a new PCI device ID of 2504. Although the unlocked driver is now in public's hands, the new ID is designed to render them useless if used with the 470.05 driver update, which doesn't have the limiter on it. It is, however, virtually certain some miners will attempt to circumvent this, and the previous models were supposedly hard-locked via the BIOS. But I think people will be able to work around this pretty easily. So moving on to CoinMarketCap, 2 trillion, 182 billion market cap, 58,122 Bitcoin. I think yesterday I made my video and Bitcoin was at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 less. So we're moving up here pretty quickly. But once again, the Ethereum all-time high, $2,825. So that $3,000 Ethereum is really not so far out of reach. Just a couple hundred extra dollars per Ethereum, and poof, we're at $3,000 Ethereum. So again, $5,000 Ethereum is really not looking that far away, particularly if there's a lot of layer 2 solutions that are coming out, particularly if like Uniswap, picks up some layer 2 solutions so that their fees are much lower. So far they haven't. Like Optimism or something like that. Optimism got super delayed. I think it was supposed to come out on April 15th, but so far I have heard very little about that. So every time we hear something good for Ethereum coming, it's just it turns out to be not necessarily nonsense, but I think the developers just bit off a little bit more than they can chew. But XRP at $1.60, so moving up here pretty easy too. Dogecoin back to 33 cents after its debacle, going back down to something like 22 cents for a little while there. But Cardano not taking the news too well of the 2 new partnerships in Africa at $1.36. So it's trading relatively sideways. It's up a little bit, but nothing too crazy there. vechain also not really taking with this $1 million announcement for NFT, still sticking at 20 cents. But we'll have to see if vechain can ever get some kind of NFTs or DeFi or some kind of token solution on it. But that's the way she goes. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video. That helps me a lot. My social media in the description below. Give me a follow on those. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I'll see you guys next time.